The senator from Massachusetts.
Send a question to the desk.
Question from Senator Markey to the House managers. On Monday, President Trump tweeted, "The Democrat-controlled House never even asked John Bolton to testify." End quote. So that the record is accurate, did House impeachment investigators ask Mr. Bolton to testify?
Senators, the answer is yes. Of course, we asked John Bolton to testify in the House, and he refused. We asked his deputy, Dr. Kupperman, to testify, and he refused. Fortunately, we asked their deputy, Dr. Fiona Hill, to testify, and she did. We asked her deputy, Colonel Vindman, to testify, and he did. But we did seek the testimony of John Bolton, as well as Dr. Kupperman, and they refused. When we subpoenaed Dr. Kupperman, he sued us, took us to court. When we raised a subpoena with John Bolton's counsel, the same counsel for Dr. Kupperman, the answer was, Senator, you serve us with a subpoena and we will sue you too. We knew, based on the McGahn litigation, it would take months, if not years, to force John Bolton to come and testify. And I should point out, because I think this is an essential point to underscore, as the president's lawyers say, they didn't try hard enough to get John Bolton, or they should have subpoenaed John Bolton. That's what they're telling you. But let me show you what they're telling the court in the McGahn litigation. If we could pull up slide number 39. This is the president's lawyers in court in the McGahn litigation. In the Court of Appeals right now, quote, "The committee," meaning our committee, "lacks Article III standing to sue to enforce a congressional subpoena demanding testimony from an individual on matters related to duties as an executive branch official." I mean, it takes your breath away, the duplicity of that argument. They're before you saying they should have tried harder to get these witnesses, they should have subpoenaed, they should have litigated for years, and down the street in the federal courthouse, they're arguing, "Judge, you need to throw them out. They have no standing to sue to force a witness to testify." Are we really prepared to accept that? Now, counsel says, think about the precedent that we would be setting if you allow a House to impeach a president and you permit them to call witnesses. Well, I would submit, think about the precedent you will be setting if you don't allow witnesses in a trial. That, to me, is the much more dangerous precedent here. But I'll tell you there's something even more dangerous, and this was something that we anticipated from the very beginning, which is we understood when we got to this point they could no longer contest the facts that the president withheld military aid from an ally at war to coerce that ally to doing the president's political dirty work. So now they have fallen back on, you shouldn't hear any further evidence, any further witnesses on this subject. What's more, we're going to use the end-all argument, so what? A president is free to abuse their power. We're going to rely on a constitutional theory, a fringe theory, that even the advocate of which says is outside of the consensus of constitutional law, to say that a president can abuse his power with impunity. Now imagine where that leads. A president can abuse his power with impunity. Now, that argument made by Professor Dershowitz is at odds with the Attorney General's own expressed opinion on the subject, with Ken Starr's expressed opinion on the subject, with not only other counsel for the president, Jonathan Turley, who testified in the House, says that theory is constitutional, effectively nonsense. But even 60-year-old Alan Dershowitz doesn't agree with 81-year-old Alan Dershowitz. And for a reason, because where that conclusion leads us is that a president can abuse his power in any kind of way, and there's nothing you can do about it. Now, are we really ready to accept the position that this president or the next can withhold hundreds of millions of dollars in military aid to an ally at war unless they get help in their reelection? Would we say that you could, as president, withhold disaster relief from a governor unless that governor got his attorney general to investigate the president's political rival? That, to me, is the most dangerous argument of all. It's a danger to have a president who engage in this conduct. It's a danger to have a trial with no witnesses and set that precedent. But the biggest danger of all, I think, would be to accept the idea that a president can abuse his office in this way, and the Congress is powerless to do anything about it. That is certainly not what the founders intended.